Shield Bills is the first up. No, it's gonna be Chicago. First up as an Elemental Shaman versus Majao, which is Boris over on their mage as a fire mage. Interesting. Trying to go for Palmer for the bat. That's gonna be Lava Burst sent in. Ground Encounter down for Chicago, which is actually a fantastic spot. Freezing Majao in place. Got himself a bit of that combustion. Is going to go for the trinket either way. They're trying to see if he can burn right through Chicago. Actually doing quite a bit of damage, but the totem does hold him back a little bit, keeping him in the crib for a moment. Big fires coming through either way. Majao does pick up a little bit of health from the Warlock Hellstone. He only gets one. In fact, only just Team 2 gets one because of Diabolical. Chicago trying to get himself a little bit of recovery. Looks like Ring of Frost doesn't do anything. Knocked back, but does catch him in the last, so might be an Icebox situation unless he wants to... Unless he's fine. Cheat doesn't. Oh, that shield on an Earthshock. That is so clutch. Wait, maybe he still has a go? You're just trying to see, let the combustion, let a cauterize work, huh? That's not to go for the Icebox. I feel like maybe Icebox earlier might have been... You canceled that real quick, Majao. You canceled that real quick. What the hell? Hold on a second. Maybe he doesn't have the Icebox that heals you. Maybe that's the case. But he's definitely playing with fire. He's playing as fire, with fire, on fire. This man has all kinds of fire. Trying to see if he can back up out of it. Does get to avoid the big blast. Could reverse back to that blink. May want to do it, but the Pyro Lava Burst just does you in. That is rough with Kevin Landers going to be up next. Charging out, full Crusade at the ready. Not even real Crusade wings this time. It's actually just a Revenge Crusade wings. Does go for the real wings. The trinket is going to be stopped up in the totem. Needs to be able to break it. Got him some plenty of range for Chicago. Look at the range of a Retribution Paladin. Those Hammers of Vengeance do quite a bit of work, man. Or Hammers of Reckoning. What am I talking about? Big Wake of Ashes to follow. Chicago does get rid of him for a moment at least. I don't even know how he got himself an interrupt there. I think Kevin tried to... Wait, how did you get yourself... No, it's not an interrupt. I keep thinking it's precog. The thing that gives him a community CC, but it's actually a Spirit Walker's Rage, the green stuff under his feet. That gives him immunity to interrupts for a moment. Does have some freezes, knockbacks available. Shamans are generally really good against Paladins because you just got so much control over them. Paladins do have quite a bit of survivability. That's going to be a little bit of healing for Chicago. The more damage they do to Kevin, the better. It's going to be Big Lasso. Got himself that Guardian Spirit Wall available as well. As long as you control and can remove the Hand of Freedom too, you will be golden. Because the roots, the knockbacks are going to be perfect. Trying to see if he can maybe drop down a totem next to Kevin. Going for that lead, but the Kevin doesn't really have a need for range whatsoever. There goes the Spore Cloak. If he angles himself correctly, could almost knock the Kevin off of the platform. Earthshocks and Frostshocks a massive totem down, so Kevin is kind of limited unless he just goes down to take down the totem. Doesn't even go for it. Ice Fury could be huge, but a bubble is out. Chicago does get a bit of recovery. Wall is available in case they need to. That is a full Ice Fury. If they're going for Lava Burst, Frostshocks, and Earthshocks, that could be a lot of damage right now. Kevin better be really careful here. That's going to be War Stop for just a second. It's still not completely in reach of Chicago, but does have quite a bit of range. Earthshocks, Frostshocks, looking for a bit of that healing. Look for the recovery. Light and last, and no trigger for Kevin. Does have maybe a Blessing of Spell Warding. I do see a bop, but he may be running a Blessing of Spell Warding. If that's the case, Chicago just needs to find a way to live through that, then it'll be gold. And knock it back into Kevin, but doesn't go nearly as far as he wanted to. But Kevin really utilizing that line of sight in order to give him a little bit of that approachability towards Chicago. Wants to make sure he always got that cover, wishing that Chicago just pushes into him. But for Chicago pushing in, is actually not the worst. Trying to go for a bit of the Ice Fury with a bit of a leap. As long as you have Earthshocks, Frostshocks, does go for the Spell Warden. Chicago's main goal is not survive. Going for the totem with a wall. Blessing and Spell Warden does make you immune to the totem, though. Might be in a bad spot. Chicago needs to survive here. Has himself a grounding totem. Does not ground a stun. Does go for the knockback, though. At least give himself a little bit of range. Big Frostshocks to follow. That is a Hand of Freedom for the Paladin. But actually, maybe Chicago turns it around either way, though. Kevin got himself a little bit of survivability. Needs to get himself line of sight and go for a bit of a reset. Wings are active. Could go for a lot of damage. Needs to go for as much survivability as possible, though. But Chicago got himself a great angle, however. Frostshocks got himself in a good spot. Ice Fury, lots of free damage. That's going to be a lot of opportunity. Big output. If you go for Lava Burst on top of it, you'd be great. That's going to be maybe Light and Lasso. Knockback could be huge. Hand of Freedom for Kevin. Just keep moving. Chicago is kind of lowish on health. Big Wake of Ashes does go for the lead. That's going to be mad healing for Chicago. 1 heal, 2 heal. Got himself Guardian back up. May want to use Guardian Spirits as soon as possible. Oh, big Ascendance. Earthshocks to follow Shield of Vengeance for Kevin. Needs one more Lava Burst. Could be massive. Oh, Burrow, wait a second. As long as you're careful, burrow up. Kevin, not able to go anywhere. Totem traps him in place. Needs to slay the totem like less. I think it's over. Hold on a second. Does Kevin some way, somehow turn this around? No. That's so good. Chicago lived it. The Elemental Shaman, man, is a fantastic spec for duels. I don't think a lot of people really think of them as a dueling spec, but they're really good, especially against melee. They can just toss them around. You got the Earth Shield toss, or rather the Lightning Shield toss, where you do a Lightning Shield overload. You got the Thunder, you got the Roots, you got the Lasso, you got the Leap. There's a lot to work with, plus you got a Fire Elemental that can do quite a bit of damage on his own from a distance. It is actually kind of nice. It is actually really, really good. Look at those Frost Shocks, you can't go anywhere. It's so nice, man. Buff red. Yeah, exactly. Buff red. Big board for Diabolicals, though. Almost gets an angle to Chicago. As long as you have yourself Tremor, you should be able to deal with it. Lightning Lasso. As long as you avoid the Succubus, you're doing quite a bit of damage. Dia does go in for a Dark Pact. And as long as you can deal with the Dark Pact, you'll be just fine. The Infernal is where Diabolicals is going to go for a bit of damage, but getting knocked way out. Big board leap for Chicago. Unless Dia can get back over to that side of the arena and go for a port or something, he can't really reconnect. A lot of his damage is going kind of out of the window. He still can get himself a decent setup, and he will probably have to play around the Dark Pact Shield together with a wall. But right now for Chicago, this is a great situation, man. This is perfect. This is exactly what he needs. Got himself lightning bolts, plenty of resources, just hoping to maybe take down the Infernal. Not really taking a lot of damage right now. Buff red? Yeah, dude. Blue's buff red. What are you guys doing? Why is red nerf everyone else? True. Buff my class, nerf everybody else. Exactly. Soulfire, maybe grounding, does grounded. Bonzafell is having to break it, but it's going to be totem down for Diabolicals. Kind of trapped in place unless he wants to take down the totem. Reflect is kind of helpful. Open up some portals. Chicago may have to pop with defensive for this one. Got himself mobility while casting. Lightning Lasso to follow. That is a bit of a Dark Pact. Still able to avoid the Succubus fairly well. Succubus has not really been able to get a proper angle onto Chicago whatsoever. Does go for that long range intro, keeping the dot onto the Succubus as best as possible. As long as you keep a dot on both Diabolicals and the Succubus, you're golden. But this Incinerates might be brutal. Does go in for the Guardian Spirit to get himself a little bit of damage. You want to do some damage while Guardian is active, though. Flame Shock is not going to be enough to keep you alive right now. Does need to go behind the pillar, catch himself a little bit of healing. The Fire Elemental is in play. Mortal, though, as Diabolical pushing in, he doesn't even care for his own mobility. He just wants to push in, see maybe if he can end the duel right then and there. Succubus could be going in for a big CC. Does get interrupted, though. Dia might be in an interesting spot. Gonna be Lava Burst getting sent in. Little burst, but it looks like the totem maybe was able to. Was it totem that took down the burst? Wait a second, maybe Chicago, one Chaos Bolt, second bolt to follow. Lots of damage right now. Oh, second bolt does get absorbed into the grounding totem. I thought earlier he grounded a Soulfire into the grounding totem, but apparently not. Gonna be down then to that totem. Static totem can't really go anywhere. Earth Shocks, Frost Shocks can be really bad. Bonzafell breaks out of fairly quickly. Dia doesn't really have much to work with except for a wall. Chicago always has mana though, so you can always go for a bit of a reset. Dia maybe can get himself out of combat. Maybe can start recuperating back a health stone. At least Lava Burst sent in. Oh my god, the amount of damage those things do now. Ever since the buff Lava Burst again, that full Lava Burst combo, if you get all those procs together with Primordial, my god, it doesn't work. Chaos, trying to see if it catch up to Chicago, is going to be able to at least shatter his soul in order to get himself a little bit more healing, picking up some of the souls. Big hunt to cover that range, but a burrow down for Chicago, unless you got some kind of a knockback or a stun into Chaos. The man doesn't have a trinket though, so maybe that's something you could work with. Roots, Chicago needs a heal immediately. Pronto, what? Hold on, Chaos charged in, but I think it took 4 by accident. No, Chaos! No! I think it was maybe super excited. He was trying to maybe target Chicago, right-click the portal by accident, and back he went into a full imprisonment of Chicago, able to go for a knockback stun, trinket for the Shaman. Does not really get to use that totem to keep Chaos at bay, but still has that Spirit Walker's Grace to be able to give him some movement while casting. Big Lasso, able to stay mobile with that one. Actually, doesn't even need Spirit Walker's Grace for that one. Full root onto the Demon Hunter. Not much you can really do about that one. Fire Elemental joining back in. Wall together with Guardian and everything available. That's a lot of healing, a lot of defense. The more damage you do to Chaos right now, the better. Does get to freeze him in place. Chaos flying up in the air. Do you just fight him? Do you just fight this? No, line aside, just try to play some more defensive. Chaos has no help whatsoever. One Lava Burst should end them. Maybe even just Fire Elemental on its own. Hold on a second. This man has no help whatsoever. Stone onto Chicago. Knock back for a second. Does he have anything to follow? Big or shock to collapse on him. And Flex Bites? Flex Bites. Gonna be the last one left. That's it, man. I don't know if Chicago loses this one. That's some Frost Shocks that is a full set of bleeds, though. Unless you have like a Dwarven Rage to remove those bleeds. It is brutal. Lasso, wrangle up the kitty. He doesn't want to trinket. He knows there's going to be a whole team ready to go. Totem doesn't really let him do anything. Try to go for an interrupt. I think was able to juke it. Chicago with no health whatsoever. Doesn't go for a heal last second. Oh my god, how are you alive? Oh my goodness, how are you alive? Grounding for just last moment, flexing by trying to see if he can get back over there. Zap's coming through. Chicago maybe can turn this around some way, somehow. I highly doubt it. It is a feral druid with everything available. Stun on Chicago, knock him back, try to go for root. Doesn't quite connect properly. I think it's just all bleeds with a wall. Flex, rotating a wall to make sure there's a guarantee kill. I don't really know if he needed a wall, but this is a high dampening situation, so I can't blame anybody for walling at this point on. Honestly, it's just something worth mentioning because you may have needed this wall for Light Messiah. Full burst, boarding, huh? Does it even help you? Hold on a second. I'm not a big fan of you guys using ports unless you're like maybe like an underwhelming dueling class. Or like some warrior, like an arms warrior, because they don't really usually have a lot of healing. I mean, I guess if you entirely ignore second wind and you're blindsided to the idea that second wind exists, then yeah. But like, I usually like to keep it like Warlock Hellstones, fine. Port, but sometimes you can definitely create a situation. Flags though, yeah. Once you pop a wall over Chicago, there isn't much you can really do. It is a rough situation. Chicago does pick up 4 though. I feel like we got to give Team Chilled another round because either it's a rogue walking in with a 4 or now it's a Chicago's elemental with a 4. Oh man, you got to give that team a proper shot. I think we got to go again, man. We got to go again. I think my group is probably